Good afternoon, and a very warm and wintry welcome to this very special episode of Daring Live, where we are very proud to present the Steve Martin Banjo Prize for the fourth year running. Very, very happy to be here. We are just days away from Christmas and just a matter of a couple of weeks away from what has been a relatively calm and collected year on all fronts, I would say. Wouldn't you, Dave? Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
I think we did fine. We got through it. It's nearly the end of 2024. So what better way than to sit back on a wonderful Tuesday afternoon or evening and celebrate two wonderful banjo players and recipients of this year's Steve Martin Banjo Prize. So with me, as always, is young David. We haven't done a Daring Live episode in a while, so we were honored, maybe surprised to be asked to do this again. But thank you for the considerations, and thank you for everybody watching at home, wherever you may be. Dave, how you doing? It's been a while.
Doing well. It's good to be back on air with you, and glad to be doing this again. It's always fun.
It's always fun. That's absolutely right. And we're just super happy to be here. So we are going to get straight to the point here shortly. But before we do, we should probably bring in our guest host, as always, the wonderful, the beautiful, the remarkable Miss Alison Brown. Where is she at? There she is.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm blushing. I appreciate that very much.
California girl. That's what's happening. How are you, Alison?
Doing great. It's great to see you both. Thank you again for being a part of the reveal of this year's Steve Martin Banjo Prize winners. Couldn't imagine doing it without you guys.
I know. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think we rate against David Letterman? I mean,
I think you guys go up to 11.
Nice reference and a nice compliment as well. We like that. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure doing it with yourself as well. And I know you've had a very busy few weeks with sessions and all this kind of things. In fact, I think when I called you yesterday, I think I got an eavesdrop into your world of recording sessions as you were talking to me about this and then talking to them about what was going on. It was great. I had a little private encounter.
A little multitasking, but thank you for your patience.
Always. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. So as we go through this, I think we will get to the announcements here pretty soon, which, as it has been released, but we have a special video coming up. But just before we do, I do like to start, because there's always a lot of viewers that come into this thing and they're not always aware of what it is. This is 15 years in, I think, to the award, with 21 different winners across that. And I think originally it was a single winner each time, and then kind of circa COVID era, they shifted it to include two winners. And we're talking a really esteemed list of winners, starting with the likes of Limper Kilney, Sammy Sheila, Mark Johnson, Jens Kruger. I'm just going to read the list because it is good. Eddie Adcock, Danny Barnes, Rhiannon Giddens, Scott Vestal, Kristen Scott Benson, Lou Ness, Victor Furtado, Matthew Davis, Buddy Watcher, Jake Blount, Jerry O'Connor, Alan Mundy, Don Vappy, Bill Evans, Enda Scahill, Cynthia Sayer, and the late, great, and wonderful Mr. Terry Balcom most recently. That's an esteemed list of recipients for this award. And you've been part of this since the beginning. Am I mistaken in saying that? Or
No,
how long
right.
have you been involved?
I've been on the board all 15 years. And after the initial 10 years, we decided that it made a lot of sense to broaden the prize, because initially we really were just looking at bluegrass-oriented players with a few clawhammer players thrown in there. But really, there's so much innovation and great music coming out of the banjo world with a capital B that we really wanted to embrace the other styles of banjo playing, such as Irish playing and tenor banjo styles. And so we've been able to do that with this over the last 5 years. And you're right, we've been initially for the first decade there would be one winner a year, but since 2020 we've had multiple winners every year, which has been great.
In the beginning, it was the Steve Martin Banjo Prize for Bluegrass Excellence. Is that what it was originally called?
Yeah, I think it was for excellence in bluegrass and banjo.
Yeah.
And now it's excellence in banjo with the capital B. Why leave anybody out?
100%. And that's why, we have the likes of Don Vappy in there and Jerry, and Enda on the 4-string. Dave Banjowski, have you ever won a Steve Martin Banjo Prize?
No.
There's always next year, David.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Alison, I'll give you a call. We'll do some nominations. But
okay.
All right, so just to jump in, before we do have to thank a handful of delightful sponsors that we love having on this show for this particular event. Most certainly, Compass Records. Thank you, Alison, for everything that you do to make this happen. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. Obviously, Fresh Grass, No Depression, Folk Alliance, IBMA, and of course, us wonderful people here at the Deering Densher Company. So, what do you say we hear from the man himself?
Let's do it.
Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Steve Martin, and I'm proud to be announcing the winners of the Steve Martin Banjo Prize. The prize was founded by my wife, Ann Stringfield, and I 15 years ago when we realized that the artistry of bluegrass musicians was as high as musical artists in any other field, such as classical or jazz. And this year we have 2 honorees who are masters in their field. Our first prize winners are Canadian Alison Brown, a brilliant clawhammer player known for her delicate melodies and driving rhythms, and Trey Wellington, who has taken Scruggs-style banjo beyond its roots and into jazz, bebop, and hip-hop. Congratulations to you both, and we are honored to have you added to our growing list of banjo greats.
All right. Always a pleasure having Steve make his little appearance. I love it. Reactions, thoughts. I think we found this out a few days ago. Alison was very, very quiet over who the winners were until the very last minute for Dave and I. But Dave Banjowski, what are your initial thoughts?
I think it's great. I've been a fan of both of these players, and we've known Trey for a long time as well, and it's great having both, the claw hammer and 3-finger style, presence there. So, yeah, great choice.
Agreed, and it definitely resonates with Steve's multifacetedness on the banjo. The fact that we have somebody who's a great 3-finger player and then someone who's also a great clawhammer player, since Steve is so adept at both styles. So I think I'm really excited about the choices this year.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I think again we've known Trey for a long, long time, and it's been very exciting to see him kind of grow as a player as well over those years. But to have two people with such a kind of broad depth of the instrument, and to be able to really shine in almost completely different ways, and yet just remarkable talent and skill, and just just a way to bring the instrument to life in their own ways. Puts them on top of the pars. It's really, really great to see. So I think I'm thrilled, and I think we have a little bit of bias for Trey, but just because of our relationship with him. But just great to see both of these guys do so well. So I think without further ado, I think we should. We've got interviews with both. We'll invite one in by one, and then we'll see what we go. So let's start with young Alison de Groot, and I understand there's a message for her as well.
Alison de Groot is one of the most highly regarded clawhammer banjoists on the North American folk scene. Born and raised in Winnipeg, Canada, she has deep roots in old-time music and delights in bringing her own contemporary sensibility to the banjo tradition. Her playing is characterized by an ability to seamlessly navigate between delicate melodic lines and powerful driving rhythm, adding an emotional depth to her sound. Alison is a frequent collaborator with notable musicians in the old-time and roots music scenes, including fiddler Tatiana Hargraves, with whom she recently received 2 Canadian Folk Music Awards and a Juno nomination. Along with performing and recording, teaching banjo has been a big part of Alison's musical life, and the recent launch of her online teaching school on the ArtistWorks platform is a continuation of her educational pursuits. About the banjo, Alison says, "It still feels just as exciting as it did the first day I picked it up. I feel like I could live 100 lifetimes and explore the banjo."
Hey, Alison, I just wanted to give you a humongous congratulations on this award. It's just very exciting. And there's a couple of things I want to quickly share. Just 2 things. One that you don't want your students to know, and the second that you do want them to know. So what you don't want them to know is that from day one, when you touched the banjo, you had this incredible sound, the Alison DeGroot sound. And I'm sure in the hospital, if when you were born, if the nurse had a little banjo and you touched it, it would have had that sound. But the thing that you do want them to know is when you were learning a tune a week, just starting out, I would give you a tune and you'd be trying to remember it, but the next week you would come back and I remember you not only knew it in your mind, but it was inside your body. Like the music was in you and you were in the music. And I still see that today in your playing. It's just beautiful when you're with other people, you know, in your collaborations. It's all about the interaction and the shared moments. And when it's you solo, it's all about the music. And you've developed this incredibly formidable technique and beautiful sound, time, but it's all about the right things. And it's just a pleasure to see and hear. And lastly, I just want to say, in Winnipeg, the whole music community is going to be really, really excited and proud of you. And for winning this award and for all your playing. Way to go, Alison.
All right, let's bring Alison DeGroot in. Well, congratulations, Alison.
Oh, thank you so much.
And can you, I don't think he said who that was on that video.
Yeah,
Can you mention who that is?
I've seen him. Dan is my first banjo teacher in Winnipeg. So when I first started, I'd go to his house every Sunday and we would do lessons together. And yeah, I did that for like probably 3 or 4 years and just such an amazing support. He's such a good banjo player, just incredible, and was just so generous. And like, I don't think I would be playing banjo if it wasn't for him. So yeah, I was so surprised to see that. That was so sweet.
Yeah, how's that make you feel seeing
Honestly, I was like crying. I was like, get it together. But yeah, just it feels like so long ago that I started, and it's just like, yeah, it's kind of surreal to be here and to get this award and have him be part of that. So yeah, thank you.
And they're gonna have according to Dan, they're gonna have almost a parade for you in Winnipeg, aren't they now?
Yeah. I'm actually in Winnipeg right now, so that's really exciting.
All right. There might be knocks on the door.
Yeah.
How long ago was it that you started?
I started probably, I don't know, like 17 years ago with him. Yeah. Yeah.
And what kind of drew you into playing the banjo, and what drew you to playing in the clawhammer style and old time music?
Well, I heard a recording of a band called the Ducks, and they're from Winnipeg. And yeah, Leonard Podolak was the first clawhammer player I ever heard, and it was just on a recording. And then just like immediately was like, okay, what is that sound? I need to learn how to do that. And it took me a while to figure out what it was. I took banjo lessons for a year and did Scruggs style, and I was like, this isn't quite the same. And then finally Dan Kulak was recommended as a teacher, and then that's when I was like, okay, that is the sound that I really wanted to learn. So
what do you think was it in that music? Is it a rhythmic thing, or
I think I was just, and like the energy of it, it just kind of felt like a sort of, I don't know, chaotic, like cyclical kind of rhythm and just like I think the tone of it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
What was one of the kind of core principles that Dan taught you, really guiding you in the right direction?
I mean, we learned a lot of tunes from around here. Like we would learn like old time Canadian tunes. We'd learn American tunes as well, but I think just like his ability to adapt different musical styles into clawhammer. And then also he writes really amazing original music as well. And I remember him showing me some of the pieces that he'd written when I got a little bit more advanced. And I think what he taught me was just like yeah, just to be able to like express whatever you're feeling and put it onto the banjo, and there's kind of not rules about what fits or what doesn't, just kind of like the exploratory nature of it. And yeah, and just kind of feeling like it was limitless what you could do on it.
I think that comes across in your playing, well, actually, because you're playing in a traditional style, but you can really feel you in it. How have you kind of been managed to is that principle from him kind of how you've kind of managed to do that?
Yeah, definitely. Like, definitely, like, I think, always feeling like rooted in playing traditional stuff with other people. And he really encouraged, like, the first time I went to Clifftop at West Virginia, like,
Mhm.
we met up there and went together. And then, so I think just like the sort of multifaceted, like playing traditional music in kind of more traditional settings, jam settings, but at the same time exploring whatever sounds you're kind of hearing in your head, or, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and another thing I really like in your playing that comes across is like the clarity of your notes and like the rhythmic precision that you have. Like it's very clear and very, while it's still having, the groove is really there. And have you been able to kind of develop that?
Yeah, I think like, so after I moved away from Winnipeg and I moved to Boston and played a lot with Bruce Molsky and started just playing with like, I mean, I didn't play with very many fiddle players in Winnipeg. And then so moving to the US and getting to play with people who were like really rooted in old time music and like just so driving, like I had to keep up. So I feel like that just pushed me rhythmically so much. Especially like Bruce Molsky is just such a force.
Yeah.
And so just like having to match that energy and that rhythm was so, I mean, it was so fun, and it was also just really good for me. And then same like my two collaborators that I'm currently playing with, like Nick Garris and Tatiana Hargraves, like their rhythm is just impeccable and like so driving. And I think just like playing with other people where I feel like for me, that's like the focus is just like locking in on the rhythm and also just being like really playful with it. So yeah, rhythm, the notes are good, but for me, it's like all about the rhythm. And that's what I feel so strongly is, yeah, it's just the rhythm.
Yeah. I mean, it's originally dance music too. So,
Totally.
um, yeah, and your record with Tatiana is fantastic. How'd this kind of duo come about, and what do you kind of separates you two from being from other banjo fiddle duos that have kind of been around in the past?
Yeah, like we both ended up at school in Massachusetts. So there was a period of time when we would just see each other at a lot of events. And we were just like drawn to each other immediately and would just jam for hours. And then kind of, it's been a bit of like, it was a slow build, and then started doing more shows together and then recording. And now it's like my primary thing that I do. But yeah, I think that like the fact that we'd both spent time with Bruce playing, I think the fact that like we both were, when we listen to music, like we really enjoy so many of the same sounds in like non-traditional or non-old time music. So I think we have a lot of the same like sounds that we enjoy. We both like writing music. So there's just kind of like all these things that just make it so easy to work with, and kind of aesthetically, like I feel like we're on the same page with a lot of stuff, and personally, and all the other things that go into nice collaborations. But yeah, like and also just like the kind of the playfulness and interactiveness, like we both I think really enjoy that from music. So yeah, I think just all those things have just made it feel like really easy and so fun to work with. And I think, oh, just because we played for a while together now, I think we've developed like our own sound. And when we play, like we haven't seen each other for a few months, then we play and we lock in, it's like, oh yeah, that's like that's the sound that just the
Mm,
two of us make. So yeah.
very cool. Well, I hope to see you all live sometime. I really hope to see it um, in person. Um, Tell us, you have an artist works course that started this fall. Why don't
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about this? Just, I believe it's their first Clawhammer one.
It
too.
is, yeah. So I recorded it in August and went down to Florida where their headquarters is. And yeah, just spent like 6 days playing, felt like everything I knew on the banjo, and just kind of recording a bunch of lessons. And then they put it all together and make it into this course. It's pretty amazing that just like so much information in there, videos and tabs. And I really wanted to do play alongs because that was something just not when I was first learning, not really having fiddle players to play with. So there's a lot of play alongs in there. So yeah, so that just launched like 6 weeks ago, I think. And yeah, it's doing really well and happy to be part of that.
And how's it been received? There's been a lot of
Yeah, there's been a lot
people
of
been
interest.
happy, and there's this sort of a theme throughout that you've been seen that you of the questions that you're getting that you need to help people with.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are, a lot of the feedback that I give is about timing and like rhythm stuff. So it's cool. It's like a new way of working and trying to articulate those, time is so nuanced and so specific to each player and to every type of music and every tune and that. So it's been kind of fun to figure out how to communicate more about the nuances of rhythm and time. And yeah, that's kind of, I think, the thing I've noticed the most with the video responses that are part of that course is that's kind of been a lot of the focus.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Very
Thank
much,
you.
very well deserved. I've been a fan of yours for a little bit now, and love your playing. And we'd love to get you back on Daring Live for a longer interview. So let's try to make that happen too.
Yeah. I also want to say congrats to Trey as well, who's also won the award this year. It's so exciting.
Definitely, yeah, very well deserved on both
Yeah,
sides.
super happy to be alongside him.
All right, well, you go enjoy your parade out in Winnipeg right now.
Yeah.
and I hope to catch up with you in person. Hear you
Yeah,
in
really
person
appreciate
sometime
it. Thank you all so much.
All right.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Well done. Huge congratulations, Alison de Groot. Very well deserved. And is it the recording, or how is she getting that beautiful, rich, just it's really kind of bass loading tone? It's fantastic. I love it.
Sounds like I was tuned down, probably, that banjo.
Yeah.
What do you think, Alison?
I don't know. It seemed like she was definitely in a double C tuning. I wasn't thinking about what key it was in, but gorgeous playing.
Yeah,
Just it's amazing to me that people can get that much articulation out of that style of playing. It's so cool.
Yeah. I'm sure I've asked you this before. Do you play clawhammer at all, Alison?
Well, not really. I mean, certainly not compared to the Alison with two L's. But watching Steve Martin play, I've been learning a few pointers. So I've found myself doing it more and more over the last year or so.
Yeah.
And it's a great sound, and sometimes I feel like that is maybe the best window into the five-string banjo in some ways, because three-finger style is so mathematical in a way.
Yeah.
Like you're playing 3 against 2, and it's just, I think it can be a real barrier to entry for a lot of people. But I feel like kind of the percussiveness and just like the rhythmic aspect of clawhammer banjo is, maybe even a better window into getting up and running with the banjo quickly.
It's funny, we get a lot of customers, Dave. I know you speak to a lot of customers as well, and they know they want to play banjo, and they're never sure which way they want to go. Not always, and you have to kind of guide them. And so many times I hear it where they've tried one or the other, and it just hasn't worked, and the other one just for whatever reason just clicked with them, and
Yeah,
it's it is interesting. It's maybe it's just the way the
I feel like certainly when I was learning to play, I feel like there was you had to pick your lane. Like you were either going to do Scruggs thing or you were going to do a clawhammer thing, and never should these worlds entwine, It was like there were just very separate lanes, and now I feel like things have really kind of merged in a way that wasn't the case maybe 20 or 30 years ago. So I kind of think like maybe you don't have to choose. Like why not do? I mean, it's always good to choose something if you want to be really, really good at it. But why not have, like beginner chops on clawhammer playing, even if you're a three-finger player? Because I think it can inform the way you think about the instrument in a really good way.
I
Yeah,
agree.
definitely.
Go ahead, Dave.
I try to tell my students to, just try both, and then
Yeah.
feel which way you lean, and then ride that wave.
Yeah, and there may be times when, just like playing something clawhammer is a better way to go than, trying to stick a Scruggs roll into it. And it just might lay it
Right.
a little bit better. So, and that's one of the things I like about the way we've got the Banjo Prize configured now, because there's so much cross-pollination between styles, much more so than when I was learning to play. And so a lot of us, and I'm sure you could ask Trey this too, but I think a lot of us who play three-finger banjo are listening to the tenor banjo players in Ireland and trying to figure out how to emulate the way they're doing triplets with their pick, like with our 3 fingers. And so there's a lot of ways that we can inspire each other to elevate
Absolutely.
the instrument.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Congratulations again to Alison de Groot for your receiving of one of 2 winners of the Steve Martin Banjo Prize 2025. Let's get to the second, shall we? A good friend, a long-time Deering artist, and it was really, really quite thrilling to know that he was the second recipient. And before we bring him in, let's roll film.
Trey Wellington is one of the most important new voices on the three-finger style banjo. He takes a forward-thinking approach to the instrument, subverting the whitewashed cultural touchpoints associated with the 5-string banjo by incorporating elements of jazz, bebop, and hip-hop alongside his bluegrass roots. The result is an original vision for the instrument that blurs musical boundaries. Trey honed his skills playing bluegrass and old-time music in the southern Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina. He won the International Bluegrass Music Association's Momentum Award in 2019, and upon the release of his debut album Black Banjo, earned critical praise from tastemakers including the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. In his live shows and on recordings, he charts new territory for the instrument through his original compositions and incorporation of unlikely covers from a variety of genres. That's what folk music is, says Trey. It's music that brings people together from all different backgrounds.
Trey, it's Tim O'Brien here, wishing you congratulations on winning the Steve Martin Banjo Prize.
You're very deserving of this award, and it's about time that your name was added to the list of great banjo innovators from the Tar Heel State. People like Earl Scruggs, Snuffy Jenkins, Tommy Jarrell, Rhiannon Giddens. And keep it up. We're looking forward to hearing some new music from you on the 5.
Hey, Trey.
Hey,
Congratulations.
how you doing? Thank y'all so
Great to
much.
see you. And yeah.
Yeah, this means so much. This is something I was like talking to my mom earlier, and we were actually like, or like I guess it was a couple weeks ago, and like we were kind of recollecting on when I was like 16 years old. I remember seeing the Steve Martin Prize for the first time, and I remember I was like, oh man, that would be cool to win someday, because I just started banjo like a year early or something like that. And yeah, just never thought I would actually be here. So yeah, this just really means a lot. Thanks to Steve Martin and Fresh Grass and Alison Brown and everybody. Everybody's such heroes, and I'm just lucky to be a part of this running.
That's so cool. And it's so well deserved.
Thank you.
And how's it feel having Tim O'Brien speak about you right there?
Yeah, Tim O'Brien, he's one of my, it almost like, it's kind of a similar thing to like Allison was talking about. It almost brought me to tears because Tim's such a hero. You know, there's been so many recordings of him that I've listened to over the years that have just inspired me and helped me grow, you know, musically, songwriting wise. And yeah, it's just amazing.
Well, great. You have a banjo with you. Would love to hear you play a little something.
Yeah, totally. Let me grab it real quick. It's just right here next to me. Can y'all see and hear me okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'll play just a little minute of a piece of a tune of mine called Moon in Motion 3.
Yeah, very nice.
Thank you.
Great playing. Is that off your record, Detour to the Moon?
No, it will actually be on my next upcoming EP. I don't have a release date for that, but it's recorded already.
All
I
right.
can't release that. Moon in Motion 1 is from my EP though.
Okay.
Or I mean
All
from
right.
Detour of the Moon, which came out this past summer.
And what kind of instrumentation? Who's on this upcoming record?
Yeah, so I have it's banjo, and then I have Nick Weizenfeld on guitar, and I have Corey Brodsky on mandolin, and Max Schwartz on the bass.
And is this different from the last record, or is it the same?
Somewhat. Corey and Max were not on my last record. My last record, it had like a variety of people. It had Nick Weizenfeld on it, Josiah Nelson, Caitlin Bone, Drew Matledge, Deshaun and Wendy Hickam, and then I'm trying to think who else was on that. There was a lot of people on that one.
Okay. What's kind of how would you describe this record? I guess what would you?
Detour of the Moon or the upcoming one?
The upcoming one. Yeah.
Yeah, the upcoming one. Yeah, so a lot of it, yeah, it's definitely probably like one of my albums that I would say has the most concrete kind of, or not an album like EP, but that has like a much more kind of concrete theme that kind of holds it together. Like tonally, like a lot of the sounds are very like kind of in the same range, and I kind of like wanted it to seem like just like one straight playthrough, like you could go from one tune to the next.
Okay. And it's all original instrumental material?
Yeah, so it's three original instrumentals. I have and then two original vocal tunes on there.
All right. All right. I
Yeah.
love how you getting into singing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's been a fun journey. I've been trying to explore a little bit.
And do you sing and play banjo at the like when you're playing banjo? Do you
Yeah.
play or do you,
Not at the same time. Like a lot of the time, like I almost do like kind of like a pad thing where I just kind of let it ring and just like maybe like sometimes like I'll add in like a little roll in there. But for the most part, yeah, I don't like do like the roll and sing thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we've known you for a long time, and it's been great to watch you grow as a player, as a person.
Thank you.
And how do you think the banjo has kind of defined you as a person? And what do you think about when you consider how your style and approach has kind of evolved?
Yeah, I think for me, like banjo has been like such an important part of my life, just because it's kind of an avenue for me, as like growing up, everybody's got things that they want to let out emotionally, and I think for me, my way of doing that, when I was like a teenager and now, is through like putting my emotions into my music, and I think that's like one of the most like kind of rawest forms of emotion you can show is like putting it into something creative, whether it be art, whether it be music, whatever it may be. And I think for me, like, really, capturing a moment in my tune, like, even if it's just an instrumental tune, capturing a moment that I feel in my songs is very, very important to me. And I think as a person, it's just like, taught me so much discipline. And like, I always think like, oh, like my classic thing is like wondering where my life would have been had I not ever played banjo, because before I played banjo, I didn't really have like many, like I wouldn't say like many concrete hobbies that I did. I have more
Right.
now, but at the time I really didn't have many. So just wondering, kind of, and a lot of my hobbies now, came from some form of music making as a whole. And I think without banjo, I wouldn't have all these different avenues to express myself. So it's been very, very important to me. And, stylistically, exploring all these different avenues as far as, tune writing and like hip hop production and things like that, I think it's definitely, informed my playing a lot and my technique and the sounds I hear in my head and the things I'm able to write, because I think, listening to, stuff, because for a long time, when I first started playing banjo, I was like strictly like, oh, let me listen to bluegrass, Ralph Stanley, J.D. Crowe,
Hmm.
Earl Scruggs. And I think once I started, probably when I was like 16, really started exploring other avenues of the banjo. And and then hearing like people like Bela Fleck, Jens Kruger, Alison Brown, different people like that. You know, I think it opened my world a little bit, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm listening to all these other banjo players. Who are they inspired from? And then I'd like go listen to the music they're inspired from, and
Yep.
then finding my own things that I really like musically outside of bluegrass. Really just have opened my world and opened my playing, and I feel like it's one of those things where even if I don't play these things, these sounds end up coming out somehow in some way,
Sure.
and like a lot of my days, like I'm sitting here, working on new songs here at my little home studio in my bedroom, and just you know, yeah, trying to find new sounds, and like every day it's like something new, new, and I'm really excited about comes out.
Yeah, I love how, seeing you, keep pushing different directions and expanding. And I can see it in you as a person that you're thinking like kind of deeply about these things and keep on kind of, exploring the music and
Yeah,
exploring the world kind of at the same
yeah.
time.
Yeah, I think we all have our individual voice, in life, and I think when it comes to music, I think whether you try to like sound like there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I want to sound like so and so or sound like this. I
Hmm.
think whether you like it or not, a lot of time you're going to end up having your own individual voice on the instrument, even if you're trying to emulate somebody else, because I
Sure.
think none of us can sound identical to another person, even if we study, study, study. I don't ever think you can actually get the full scope of somebody's sound ever. So
Yeah.
I think all that to say, for me, it's very important to just be my most authentic self.
Yeah.
And I think constantly expanding myself is the best way I can do that.
Yeah. And when you're like, I watch you play, and a lot of the time you're improvising pretty deeply. You can really see it in your face too. Like
Yeah.
you really are going. You're really listening to what's happening. And you're really trying to go somewhere new, not just playing what your fingers know.
Yeah.
And so where are you kind of mentally? How do you get yourself there when you're playing? To get to that state and just kind of really be focused and really be hearing things, and not just playing what you know.
Yeah, I think for a long time I was definitely kind of like more somebody that stuck to like, until I was probably like 18 or 19, I was more somebody that was like, oh, I'd practice it and make sure I got it. And then the more I started getting into like jazz improv, and like I would, when I was at ETSU, I was, I did the bluegrass program there, but I also would go and explore some of the jazz programs there. And just hearing the players in there, I think really inspired me a lot, because I was hearing like people, just take risk all the time. Like I was in a little jazz combo at the time, and at the time I was not very good like at jazz music. But being in that space, people were always taking risks, like trying new things. And I remember like when I first got in there, I was like, oh, how do I like approach like playing over these heads? And I think the teacher in there was like, oh, well, just don't think, just do it. And I remember like that stuck with me, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I started doing that, and it helped a lot. But then as I started going more down, I was like, oh, I want my ideas to be more musical and more inspired. And so I just started working on translating, and learning vocal melodies note for note was like such a great thing for me. And and I think helped with this idea is just trying to hear these sounds in my head and just make them happen. Like I could transcribe and do things like that, but then coming up with all these original ideas in your head to just like let out, that was like such a groundbreaking moment for me. And like when I could start kind of like, I remember when I first started like kind of doing that, I was like, oh, I'm hearing this and I'm able to play it. And then now it's luckily I'm like getting to a place I feel like where I'm like very, very confident in that skill, that I can like, oh, I'm going to hear this and then maybe I can try to do it. And even if it doesn't work out, I just know I'm still trying things, which is going to keep expanding myself.
Yeah. Is there somebody you a dream musician that you love to collaborate with on a project, or a producer even to work on a recording? Is there just like some a full out there dream that whether it's possible or not? But
yes, I guess like yes and no. There was someone I was inspired by for a long time over the pandemic. It's a great organ player named Corey Henry. And I just like love everything about Corey Henry, with like his like harmonic kind of like how he layers things up and like structures things. I just think it's really, really cool. And I remember I got to see him. I think it was back in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And it was just so amazing. And so I think if like just thinking off my head right now, I think he'd probably be the first person that comes to mind that I think would be cool to collaborate with. But yeah, there's a whole slew of people though. If I had the opportunity, I'd be very honored
sure.
to work with them. Yeah,
that would be hip though. You should try to make that happen.
That would be cool.
Well, Trey, very well deserved. It's been great watching you play. IBMA, it was great watching you play. I think I saw you with both the Raleigh Jam.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Yeah,
that was really good. And then with New Dangerfield and your own band, I think you were constantly up on that stage.
Yeah, it was fun. That was a busy year this year.
Yeah, it was fun. I want to bring Alison de Groot back in, and I think and have her give you a personal congratulations, and y'all can do a little chat.
Yeah. Hey, Alison.
Oh, hey Trey. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to you. Yeah, I'm such a fan. I was like thinking when I heard that you were also one of the other recipients, I was like, man, this is like awesome. You know, like you're one of my favorite players as a whole. Just in banjo at all. Your sound and your touch has just been like. I remember like when I first came and saw you and Tatiana. I think it was the first time I ever saw y'all was at Wintergrass in 2022, I believe. And I remember,
cool.
I think I had met you before, but I think like Wintergrass was the first time we really talked.
Yeah.
And I was just like really blown away by like your skill, and like obviously I'd heard you, but hearing it in person was just like a whole nother.
Aw, thanks. Thank you so. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of yours as well.
Thank you.
And yeah, your music and New Dangerfield is awesome too.
Yeah.
Your whole band is so sweet. They're texting me today saying congrats.
Cool. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so sweet. Yeah.
They're the best.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, would you like to play one more tune, Trey?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
I didn't know I had to play two. Only prepared.
We got you.
I gotta think about it.
We know you can pull it out of the hat there.
Cool. This is actually the other one that was from the Detour of the Moon project. This one is called. This is Moon in Motion 1.
All right.
Nicely done, Trey.
Hope that sounds okay.
Yeah. Congratulations, Trey. Really
Thank you
proud
so
of you.
much. Thank
And happy
you.
for you. And you too, Allison. There's nothing better
Thank
than
you.
Allison's playing banjos. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I want to know if there's going to be any kind of collaboration. I feel like you guys should do
Let's
something.
do it.
That'd be cool. I'd be down.
Yeah. I'm down.
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. Very cool. Massive congratulations to you both. Enjoy your Christmas break and your holidays. I know you're traveling, Allison, so enjoy time with your family. And be safe, both of you. Let's have a round of applause for Trey and Allison. Little round of applause.
Thank you for hosting
Thank
too.
y'all so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're kind of there.
Yeah.
Wow, that went amazingly quickly.
Yeah.
But I
Another
didn't
one
want
for
it
the
to.
books. Well, great job, you guys.
Do you want to do it again next year?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's
Do
do
you know
it.
who the winners are already?
Maybe. But you'll have to wait 362 days to find
There you
out.
go.
All right, Dave, you don't have to wait long, Dave. It's going to be fine. We'll let you know as soon as we can.
That's right.
Nah. See how I circled that back to the top of the show? That was fun as always. They're just such great people,
Yeah.
remarkable musicians, and both just really interesting to listen to. Again, completely different, and yet exactly the same in a kind of a weird way. It's really cool.
Well, and it was great for them to shine a light on the camaraderie that defines our community and I think is one of its greatest strengths. So it's part of what makes the banjo so special.
Exactly.
Yeah. Totally agree. Final thoughts for the road?
Well, more banjo in 2025.
That's
You
what
guys,
we're shooting.
you guys
exactly.
keep churning them out, and we'll keep picking
Churn
them.
them out. Yeah, perfect.
We expect to see you when you come to San Diego next, Alison. And
I'll look forward to it.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Are you staying in Nashville for Christmas?
I will be here. Yep,
Excellent.
doing some stuff in the studio and looking forward to my next trip west, whenever that might be, to pick up my new banjola during Banjo Factory. No pressure.
I tell you what, I always don't expect it, and then it comes and hits me right left field. There you go. I love it. Yeah, keep us. Well, when you say keep us, keep Greg on his toes. It's coming.
I'll do that. I'm excited.
We didn't say it too much, guys. Thank you so much, and to everyone watching at home, whether it be live right now or later on in a replay, if it's before Christmas. Very, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And if you're watching it in 2025, we hope you had a wonderful time. Huge congratulations again to Alison DeGroot and Trey Wellington, two thoroughly deserved winners of the 2024 Steve Martin Banjo Prize. And that's all we can say. Just I can't wait to do it again next year. Dave, thanks. Alison, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie.
Everyone be safe. Ta-ta for now.